and they become entertainment for him. You got places like SeaWorld in America, different water theme parks, where you can go and watch people ride on the back of killer whales like a surfboard. They actually teach big orcas, as they call them, the Latin term for them is orca, jumping out of the water and through a flaming hoop. They got the dolphins jumping up out the water with their head and going backward as if they was actually walking on water. What person can do this to animals? That's what the Lord referred to him as, because the Arabs, the Arabs don't do that. The Chinese haven't done that. The East Indians haven't done that. Who is it that can take a killer whale? Who is it that can take all of these aquatic animals? Who is it that make it a point to take the lion and teach the tiger how to run around in a sand pit at a circus? Not just the animal or the water theme parks, but the circuses also. They teach the elephants and teach the horses and everything how to dance. Teach a tiger how to jump through a flaming hoop. To open up the lion's head and put his mouth in it. They turn around and train animals for movies. They'll do a movie on a gorilla, and the gorilla that actually have a role in the movie. So when the Lord said this man was a cunning hunter, he's literally giving you an attribute that can't be attributed to any characteristic or trait, an ability that can't be attributed to anyone else. Read that again. Verse 27.
Verse 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents.
And that describes the so-called black man to the T. A plain man dwelling in tents. For the most part, we like to just, for the most part, chill. That's what it means. They hang out at the crib and chill. He was a plain man, meaning uncomplicated, didn't require a lot, dwelling in tents. Where it says Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And today they have magazines called Hunting and Gathering. I don't know the full name because I ain't no hunter. The point is, they have magazines that show that Esau is outdoorsman. When it says a man in the field, they got magazines called outdoorsman. And Esau, he got all type of articles and what do you call that? Like materials for hunting. You know, you can just, they got duck urine, they got mallard duck urine, they got deer urine, all this type of stuff to make him the optimal hunter. They got horns and little things you put in your mouth and you blow it and you can't hear it, but the poor little animal can hear it. Esau, that's what the Lord said, cunning hunter, a man of the field. In other words, he's the cat that's always jumping off of volcanoes. What do they call it when they do, they got them, basically I call them human kites. Okay. Power gliding. And there was a man in the field. He'd still be lucky he got to climb mountains. You always find an expedition party frozen up in Mount Everest. They didn't quite make it to the top. They always dig them out of a block of ice, someplace in the Himalayas. That's what they do. The Lord referred to them as a man in the field because that's what their spirit. They refer to themselves, like I reiterated, as great outdoorsmen. Okay, we go down, brother. Verse 28, right?
Yep, verse 28. And Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of his venison.
In other words, Esau was his father's preferred. He was his favorite because Esau would hunt and bring. Venison is deer meat, so he would hunt and bring back the type of meat that his father liked his mother to prepare for him. Go ahead.
Rebekah loves Jacob.
Rebekah loved Jacob because she was the one that got the prophecy that the elder was going to be a servant to the younger. Go ahead.
And Jacob saw pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint.
When it says Jacob saw pottage, that's letting you know Jacob, and you can look up these terms in dictionaries. He was cooking, making a stew of meat. That's what to saw pottage is. Go ahead.
Verse 30.
And it's going to explain, it's going to be self-explanatory as you read down. Continue.
And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage.
Feed me with that same red pottage, with the same red meat. And we all, for the most part, know how so-called white people like their meat. How they like to. You go to any restaurant, and black people be always ordering a medium. At the worst part, what do they call it? Medium done. But most of us eat it completely well done. And then white people, they like their stuff almost with the blood still in it. So, and when he said, it's going to show you. Esau said, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage. In other words, with the same red meat. In other words, the food wasn't done, and he wanted his red. Go ahead.
Verse 31. And Jacob said,
read verse 30 again.
Okay, verse 30. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage. For I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom.
So at that moment, when he asked his brother to feed him a plate of red meat, his name was changed to Edom. Would you pick up your voice now, all right? Okay, go ahead.
Verse 31. And Jacob said, sow me this day thy birthright.
So Jacob decided to take advantage of the fact that his brother was hungry. The birthright, the significance of the birthright is, if a man have more than one son, what he has, let's say a man has 5 sons, or in this case 2 sons, it means that the older son gets a double portion of everything that the other son is going to get. So that's what determined, the birthright is what determined the wealth of a man once his father gave him his inheritance. So when Esau asked for this red meat, Jacob took advantage and said, well, listen, give me your birthright. What he was asking Esau for was, when it comes time for dad to give us our inheritance, I want the right of having the double portion instead of you. Now, this is just a plate of meat, and watch what Esau, whose name is called Edom by now, what he's going to say. Verse 31 again.
Okay, verse 31. And Jacob said, sow me this day thy birthright. Verse 32. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me?
Now it's coming into manifestation what the prophecy meant when it was told to Rebekah. It says the 2 nations are born of that woman, 2 manner of people, and the one people shall be stronger than the other. He's manifesting that Esau was the weaker of the 2, because he simply was hungry, and he literally was willing to give up his birthright for a plate of food. He was literally willing to give up his future wealth for a plate of red meat. It says, and I'm going to jump back and read that, okay? Yeah. I'm going to read verse 23. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people. That's what he's talking about. In other words, so here this man that came in, it said he came in from the field, he was faint. It's obvious faint means tired. He hadn't had a successful day at hunting. So he's tired, and Jacob says, well, man, give me your birthright. And he's like, yeah. Now, what was his reply? Verse 32.
Verse 32. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? 1 meal, and he was going to die. So it's manifesting who the weaker of the 2 is. It says, and Esau, and let me say this, let me say, this is beautiful, because let's take an opportunity to find out how this transcends into the modern day era. Look at how so-called blacks and Hispanics and the poor people of the world have had to exist on literally what Esau tells you this very day. Most people in the world dwell on less than $2 a day. On an income in the 3rd world, that's the standard. Income of the equivalent of $2 a day. And then you got billionaires. Because of this economical crisis that's taking place globally, you got billionaires that from 1 month to about 6 months, they lost maybe 1/3, maybe 3/4 of their riches, and they still got 25 million left, and they shoot themselves, they shoot their family, they shoot themselves, you know what I mean, after. So in other words, when it says that, it's showing you they don't have the power, they don't have the resilience, they don't have the strength, the moral strength that the Most High gave his people or Jacob. And this is showing you, this is in their father. So it's telling you, and Esau said, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do me? He's saying, what good is a birthright when I ain't got no food? Because the birthright is the food. Back in those days, your birthright was, if this father had 1,000 head of cattle, if 250 head of cattle went to Jacob, then 500 of that cattle, twice a portion, was going to go to Esau. And Esau was giving that up. Out of all the reserves or whatever he had in gold and servants. If Jacob was to get a certain amount, 1,000 pounds or shekels of gold, Esau was supposed to get 2,000 shekels of gold. Because that was the nature of the birthright. That the oldest son got a double portion than all the other brothers. So that's what he said. He's saying, this ain't worth nothing, man. Give me some red meat. Go ahead. Verse 33.
In other words, he had that you only live for the day mentality. The live for the day mentality. He was literally making his decision based on how he felt in that moment. Now that's